I'm a little under the weather today, so if my voice sounds a little different, then that's why. It's fall here in the Midwest. It's cold and flu season, and we have teenagers in the house, and we tend to get any and everything that goes around. Anyway, in this episode, we are going to look at the Staub 3.5 quart Braiser with glass lid. Have that right here. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome as well. We've only had one other episode, so most of you are probably going to be new. Anyway, Kitchen Foundations, we take a different approach to food. We're not recipe-based. We are more technique-based and fundamental-based. So we look at three things. We look at proper technique, we look at quality equipment, and we look at sourcing the best possible ingredients that you can find in your local area. So like I said, we are going to review the Staub 3.5 quart Braiser. In this episode, we're going to take a trip out to a local farm stand that I like to get a lot of my ingredients from. They're a great family. I asked them if I could film a little bit. They said yes. So we're going to do that. And we are going to test the Staub out. We're going to braise a chuck roast in some red wine and mirepoix, bay leaves, beef stock, things like that, and see how it does. It's that time of the year. It's fall. It's braising weather. The leaves are changing, and it's getting a little bit colder, especially in Michigan where we live. So let's talk about the piece of equipment that we're going to use today. We are using the Staub 3.5 quart Braiser with glass lid. This lid is actually what makes this piece different than a lot of Staub pieces. A lot of their cast iron pieces have a cast iron lid. This does not. It has a glass lid, and some people like that, some people don't. The reason I chose it is the price. I got this for about $180. An equivalent piece with a cast iron lid would probably close to $300. So that was my deciding factor. Plus, I had never had one, so I wanted to try it because I've always had enamel cast iron pieces that had enamel cast iron lids. So I wanted to see if it was any better, any worse. I thought I would give it a try. So this piece has a dark interior, unlike the Le Creuset pieces that have a lighter interior. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people think that you can't monitor the browning as well in a dark interior. I haven't really found that, but it's some people's preference. This piece is pretty heavy. It's about 8 pounds without the lid, and it's just under 10 pounds with the lid, or just under 11. I'm not sure. I'd have to check that. Anyway, this thing is made in France. It is all enamel cast iron. So what that means is it has a cast iron base with a porcelain-like finish that they spray on. That's where the color comes from. The interior is also enameled, so you can use acidic foods, which is the advantage that this has over just bare cast iron. The other advantage is you don't have to season it like you do bare cast iron. As long as the coating is on there, you don't have to oil it. You don't have to treat it like cast iron or like carbon steel. I like it. It's really heavy. It's really solid. I don't mind the lid. It is oven safe up to 500 degrees. So if you wanted to bake bread in this, you still could. So yeah, I like this piece so far, and let's head out to the farm.
So we're heading down to the farm now. We are going to this great little farm stand called Chris Country Acres. It is in just outside of Holland, Michigan, over on the Lake Michigan coast on the west coast. We're pulling in now. It's fall, so it's pretty much the best time to come to these farm stands. They've got all the pumpkins and the hay decor. Right there's their sign. This is their pumpkin display. That's the farmhouse right back there. They've got an old John Deere tractor and lots of pumpkins and gourds and all the fun things for fall. Over here they have a lot of squash. They've got the ugly gourds. This display over here, they have a really cool thing where you can get a brown paper grocery bag and fill it for, I think it's $12. And they have a salute to America. This is some of the produce that we got. It all looks great. And we're going to start with our roasted, braised chuck roast, sorry. So we're just washing our vegetables. Look at the color in that celery. It's really great. It's super dark green. It's really strong. The leaves are solid. Just peeling our veg. And we're going to start chopping them. I apologize for the view. It wasn't the best. We're going to switch that in a second. So we switched the view so you could see a little bit better. And we're just going to rough chop everything. It's going to get braised for a few hours. And then we're going to actually blend it to create the sauce when we're done. So as long as they're uniform, it doesn't really matter how big they are. I mean, you don't want to go too big, but just a rough chop is fine. Same with the onions, we're going to rough chop those. So chop, chop, chop. So we've got our piece of chuck roast here. We're going to season it liberally on both sides with kosher salt and fresh cracked black pepper. Flip it over, get the other side. And get the other side with pepper too. And we're going to dredge it with flour. So the reason we do this is it helps promote browning a little bit, but the main reason that we do it is to create a roux. So when it cooks, it is going to mix with the oil and form a roux so that when you go to make your sauce, it will already have a thickener already in it. So we turn the stove on to medium high and the oven to 300. Let that preheat. The pan's already been on for, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes to heat up. Pour some olive oil in. It's good and hot. It's slightly smoking, but it's not burning. And in goes the chuck roast. So that's probably 5 minutes or so. And we got a nice sear on it, a nice crust. So it's a little bit extra crusty because of the flour. If you didn't have the flour on that, it would have a little bit different texture. So we pull that out. And a little bit more oil because the flour soaked up a lot of the initial oil that we put in there. And we got the mirepoix, carrots, onions, and celery that we rough chopped. We're gonna cook that on medium-low heat until it's softened. Probably a good 6 minutes, I would say. And season that. So after 5-6 minutes, I've got some Merlot, cheap bottle. It's probably $5. I wouldn't go too crazy with the quality on here. You don't want to use garbage, but you don't want to use your nice stuff either. So that's about a third of the bottle. We let that cook down. Throw in 3 bay leaves. And do a half a can of tomato sauce. Some diced tomatoes, some diced canned tomatoes would work as well. This is just what I had on hand. And finally, some chicken stock. It's probably 4 or 5 ounces. And in goes the chuck roast. If I can pick it up. There we go. And it's back in. So now we'll throw the lid on there. Which this is where the glass lid is kind of nice because you can actually see. I mean, it gets a little cloudy with the condensation, but you can see better than with a full metal lid. So throw it in the oven. Cook it for about 3 hours. With the magic of television, we're done cooking. Pull the lid off, and there it is. Nice and deep color. Looks pretty good to me. I'm gonna do a little test to see if the meat's tender, which it is. You want a little bit of give to it. You don't want it completely falling apart, but you want it soft too. So it's pretty soft. So we pull that out. And then we pull out the bay leaves as well. And now we're gonna make the sauce. So what we do is we take the liquid and the softened vegetables. So the softened vegetables will actually thicken the sauce, and you get all the fat from the meat in there. It's a nice artistic view of my shoulder. The camera decided to blur the background. Anyway, so we throw it in the Vitamix. So you probably add a little bit of water. It just depends on how much liquid you have compared to the cooked vegetables. So that's consistency. That's a little thick, so I'd probably add about an ounce of water to that. Now we're going to chop some parsley for the finished plate. So we rough chop it at first, and then fine chop it. And we're going to plate. So we roasted some potatoes, some Yukons whole. Cook those in a 375-degree oven for about 30-40 minutes. Those are the wax beans that we got from Crisp. And some of the braised chuck roast. Flip it around for presentation. And we pour on a little bit of the sauce. I did thin it down a little bit. And the chopped parsley, just for the finishing touch. And there you have it, perfect fall meal.
All right, now that we've used this pan, let's talk about it a little bit. Let's talk about the pros and cons, what we like, what we don't like. I would like to preface this by saying that I am not sponsored by anyone. I use my own money to buy this pan, and Staub has not had any influence on me whatsoever. So with that being said, let's talk about what we like about it. I like the construction of it. It is heavy. Without the lid, it's 7 pounds 5 ounces, and with the lid, it is just under 11 pounds. So it's solid, and that's great for heat retention, which is what you really want with cast iron pieces. The glass lid is tempered, so that means it's not as subjective to thermal shock, so it can go from cold to oven without a problem. If it does break, it's about a $40 replacement, so keep that in mind, because ones that have cast iron lids, they won't break at all. But I mean, $40, it's not a huge cost to replace it. I like that this is enameled so that you can use acidic foods with it. Some people say that the dark interior is a problem. I don't see it that way. Speaking of the construction, this has a lifetime warranty. So once you buy it, as long as you don't abuse it, I mean, you won't have to buy it again. They call these heirloom pieces that you can pass down to future generations, which I think is pretty cool. This is made in France. Staub is from Alsace, I think. If I didn't say that right, I apologize. They were recently bought by Zwilling, which is the knife company out of Germany. So they're German owned, but they're still made in France, where they started in, I believe, the 70s. Um, so the construction, where it's made, in the last episode, I like USA made products, but I also like European made products. I'm a little bougie with my cookware, and I'll be the first to admit that. I have no problem with that. I like quality, and the highest quality cookware usually comes from Europe and the United States. So um, I like that it's made in France. I like the finish. Um, it's a little dark in here, so you might not be able to see the finish as well as you could, but it's a really deep dark blue. They call it marin, which is like marine, so it's like water. It's a beautiful finish. Several coats of the enamel is what causes that. And the other thing that I like about this is it is cheaper than the options with a completely metal lid. I don't mind the glass lid. It gives a different look, not necessarily better or worse, but I don't think it looks bad at all. I like the ones with metal lids, but I also like this one too. I don't think that it takes away from anything. All right, so now that we talked about what we like about this, let's talk about what maybe we don't like or what some people might not like. Um, the one thing that we talked about first was the construction and the heft of this. That might be a negative for some people. Like I said, this is almost 11 pounds empty. So if you fill this with a roast and some liquids and some vegetables, you might be looking at 15, 20 pounds when this is fully loaded. That might not be okay for some people. If you don't have the strength to lift that, then maybe this isn't for you. The other thing that some people don't like about this is the price. It's $170, which isn't cheap, um, which I never advocate for buying cheap cookware. But if you don't have the money for this, there are some Chinese made options that are available that might be a little more price friendly. You could probably get something similar to this in like a Tramontino or maybe a Lodge. Not the Lodge USA, but they have a China made line that's probably half of this. So if you're on a budget, maybe we go with the China made ones. Um, so weight, price. Some people don't like the dark interior. Like I said, it hasn't been an issue for me, but some people like the Le Creuset style lighter interior so that you can see when your food is browning. Um, the inside of this is textured a little bit, and the Le Creuset is a little bit more smooth. So the Le Creuset one can feel a little bit more non-stick than this does. If you heat it properly, it's not really an issue, but you have to find that sweet spot of preheating and the right amount of oil and things like that, because things will stick to this. It's not Teflon, it's not anything like that, but when it's properly heated and properly oiled, it essentially is nonstick. But you have to have the right technique, and which we talk about in this show. And the glass lid. Some people don't like this. Some people want a completely enameled cast iron vessel. Um, I don't blame them. I like that look as well. But like I said before, I don't mind this look at all. I think it's a little bit different. It's got a retro feel. It's almost a little bit 70s, which I like that. But not everyone does, and that's okay. But you get a price break for not having the enamel cast iron lid. Like I said, I got that for 170, and similar models with the metal lid is about $100 more. So to me, it's worth it. Um, like I said, I like having metal lids as well, but I don't mind it for the price break that you get. So final thoughts on all this. Number one, shop at your local farm stands. The quality that you get is going to be 1,000 times better than you can get at any Mega Mart. It supports local economy. It helps out local families, and you're just going to get better food, and you're going to get better results from it. Final thoughts on the Staub 3.5 quart Braiser. Would I recommend it? I absolutely would, especially when you get it on sale for under $200. I think it's a great size. 3.5 quarts is, it's big, but it's not too big. Um, I love the finish of it. I think it's beautiful. If you want to get something with a metal top, you absolutely can. I don't mind the glass top. I didn't find any performance issues with it at all. I didn't think it was inferior at all. I like Staub. I've had quite a few of their pieces, and everyone has lived up to what it should. It's beautiful. It's high quality. It's heavy. It's durable. Um, it's, you get what you pay for. So I would recommend this. Like I said, if you want a metal top, you can. La Crusade has a similar version of this. I think they call it their buffet pan. I'm not sure exactly what they call it, but they have a similar version of this, and it's good too. I'm gonna review some La Crusade things on this channel as well. Staub, I like the way they look better. I just do. I think their finish is better. I don't mind the dark interior. This isn't a La Crusade versus Staub video, but um, my first reaction is always towards Staub a little bit. But like I said, I'm gonna get some La Crusade stuff and try it out and see if it's any better, worse, or equivalent. But thank you so much for watching. If you got any value out of this, please like and subscribe. We are a brand new channel, and any support that you can give would help us tremendously, and I'm very thankful for it. So yeah, so we're gonna keep on doing this, and we're gonna, if you have any suggestions of what you would like looked at, please comment below. And thank you so much for watching. See you later.